Hi, this is Ted at Valley of the Dolly. Today I wanted to talk with you again about the IFO report. This is the Economic Experts Survey. In last video we talked about Portugal and the anticipated increase in the value of real estate over the next 10 years. This time I want to talk with you about one of the three countries that they expect to be driving this dramatic increase in the value of real estate in Southern Europe. And that country is Malta. So at the end of the video, we're going to compare the anticipated increase in the value of real estate in a property of $500,000 bought in Portugal and one bought in Malta, and what the expected value will be in 5 and 10 years. So stay tuned to the end of the video for that. I think you'll want to hear those outcomes. So the first question is, what's driving interest in Malta? Well, Malta is one of the countries, like Italy, Greece, Spain, Portugal, that offers a golden visa program. And yes, Portugal is changing and doing away with a number of options inside of their golden visa program. And I think it's probably time for me to go back and do videos regarding the golden visa options. But it's just safe to say right now that Malta has a number of different options to entice people to move to Malta with the golden visa. And part of it isn't necessarily the golden visa itself, it's the halo effect of having a golden visa. A lot of people will be enticed to look at the location because there's a golden visa, and in the end they may not choose that option because they find another visa scheme is much more applicable to how much time they intend to spend in the country and the specific circumstances regarding their move. And that's why a golden visa may be a great option for people, but you'll find even in Portugal there weren't that many golden visas granted for home real estate purchases. In my perspective, considering the number of units that are constantly sold on the market year in and year out. And 90% of the real estate sold in Portugal is sold to Portuguese nationals or Portuguese tax residents. Now, if you're looking at Malta, there are a lot of expats who live on this island nation that's a sunny island located in the middle of the Mediterranean. Part of the attraction to Malta is the fact that right now, on average, a 2 to 3 bedroom small condo in Malta will cost $227,000 on average. Now, this price to me does seem a bit low, and I think it's kind of backward looking because we know that prices are increasing. But that was the last at the end of 2022, they were saying $227,000. Of course, I think as soon as you start looking at newer properties or properties really close to the water or close to certain amenities, those prices can increase dramatically. One of the important things that's being offered by Malta are loans for people to buy property there who are not citizens of Malta or non-residents of Malta. Then you can rent out your property, and the tax rate on a rental is very low. It's only 15%, and there are other countries that have significantly higher taxes on rental property. There's also no wealth or ownership tax in Malta. There's also a simplified final withholding on the sale of the property of 5 to 8%. And there is no additional capital gains tax applied as well to the sale of the property. The stamp duty is just 5%. And transfers of immovable property are also exempt from VAT tax. So you see there are a number of different tax reasons why people might be interested in Malta as well. You know, it is different to live on an island than it is to live on the European mainland, but it is a quick flight from Malta to many destinations around Europe. But moving to Malta also means that your day-to-day expenses are likely to be significantly higher than they are in Portugal. So if you're talking about your day-to-day cost of living, you're talking about maybe 27% above what it is in Portugal overall. Clearly, to live in Lisbon or Porto is significantly more expensive. In this Nubio report, they're saying rent is 17% more expensive in Malta than it is in Portugal. But I think most people who have lived in Portugal will know that rents in Lisbon or Porto are significantly higher than the average for the country. So that's probably a wash there. Also, groceries are more expensive on an island country like Malta than they are on a mainland country like Portugal. So the costs of living in Malta are higher than those of living in Portugal. There are some things that are also less expensive. For example, like purchasing a car, it's less expensive in Malta than it is in Portugal, but not by a lot. And you find that there are a lot of benefits as far as purchasing property or renting property in Malta, and you find that there are more expenses involved in living in Malta. Now let's take a look at what an investment of 500,000 US dollars in a property in Portugal is anticipated to give you after 10 years, and what an investment of 500,000 US dollars in a property in Malta is anticipated to return to you in 10 years as well. If you bought a property in Portugal for $500,000 today, based on the CNN report and the Portuguese news anticipating 8.2% yearly return on property in Portugal, that would mean you would be getting $721,000 after 5 years. And after 10 years, that $500,000 investment would become a property worth $1,100,000, which is more than double your initial input 10 years earlier. Now, if you bought a property in Malta, the numbers are a bit different. So if you invested $500,000 in a property in Malta today, in 5 years, that property would already be worth more than the same property in Portugal after 10 years. So in half the time, it's already increased to the same value. In 10 years, that property would go from 500,000 to 10 years later, 2.7 million. So in 5 years, the property is over $1 million, and in 10 years, it becomes 2.7 million. That is significantly higher than the anticipated return or value of 1.1 million on that same property in Portugal. So it's almost 1.6 million US dollars more in Malta than it is in Portugal. Now, please keep in mind that these are forecasts and they are not absolutes or real values. These are just what 1,500 economists across 100 countries have estimated for values increasing in property around the world. And for Malta, I simply used the average increase anticipated for Southern Europe, knowing that the anticipation increases for Portugal are significantly lower than the average, and that Malta is supposed to be rising faster than the average because it's one of the 3 countries that are pushing this 16.4% overall, this 18.4% increase in real estate values across Southern Europe. So if you found this interesting, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And I look forward to talking with you again. And please let me know if you agree with these forecasts, if this is something you think is going to come to be, or if you think these numbers are crazy way off. And we'll look at 2 of the other countries there are 3 countries that are listed as the drivers behind this increase in prices in Southern Europe. We looked at Malta, and we'll look at the other 2 in future videos. I look forward to talking with you again soon. This is Ted. Thanks again. Bye now.